Hello everyone, welcome back to another English online session. I hope you all fine. Today I am going to explain you the sixth chapter from the textbook Hornbill, the Browning version. This chapter is a short extract from the play The Browning version written by Terence Rattigan. It is an one-act play set in a school. There are three characters in the play: Taplow, Frank, and Mr. Crocker-Harris. Taplow is a 16 years old student, Frank is a young teacher, and Mr. Crocker-Harris is a middle-aged schoolmaster. Taplow has arrived in the school to do extra work for Mr. Crocker-Harris. He meets Frank and they both engage in a conversation while Taplow waits for Mr. Harris. Later enters Millie, Mrs.Crocker-Harris, who talks to Taplow. So here there are three main characters in the play. It was a usual situation. You all can understand that you can think of Taplow as yourself a student. Okay, it's a school situation, and Taplow a student who was asked to come an extra day, and this student having a conversation with another teacher named Frank, and he was asking about the attitude of Crocker-Harris in the school and the opinion of the students about Crocker-Harris. Now let me tell you a few information about the writer. Sir Terence Rattigan was born on 10 June 1911 and died 13 November 1977. Was a British dramatist and screenwriter. His plays are typically set in an upper middle class background. He wrote The Winslow Boy in 1946, the Browning version 1948, The Deep Blue Sea in 1952, and Separate Tables in 1954, among many others. So these are his famous writings. He is one of the well-known screenwriters or dramatists in English literature. Now let me explain you the story or the explanation of this chapter, the extract, the Browning version. I have already explained you the scene is a short extract from the play The Browning version. Taplow is a boy aged 16 who arrives at the school to do extra work for Mr. Crocker-Harris, his teacher. He meets another teacher, Frank, and engages in a conversation with him while waiting for Mr. Crocker-Harris. Frank is another teacher in that school who is young in age. Mr. Crocker-Harris is a more middle-aged teacher. Frank saw Taplow and asked his name and in which class he studies. Taplow answers him and tells him that he studies in the lower 5th standard and he cannot specialize until he gets his division or remove. Frank asked him whether he got the remove or not, and Taplow replied that his master, Mr. Crocker-Harris, doesn't reveal the information like other masters. So this boy asked to come another day, then only he will get his remove or division to continue or promoted to the next level. He can specialize in any topic he was interested. So remove means promotion. It's compulsory to go to the next level, and he wasn't attended a class, so that's why Crocker-Harris is a person who is very strict and never compromise in his decision anyway. So that's why Taplow was asked to attend another class and complete his work. Then only Crocker-Harris will give him the remove and promote him to the next level. Frank asked if Mr. Crocker-Harris doesn't reveal the remove earlier like other masters. Taplow tells him that he already knows how Mr. Harris is. Frank supposes that there is a rule that the form result should be revealed on the last day of the term. Taplow agrees and told him that Mr. Harris follows it very seriously. Frank shares that he doesn't follow it, but still Taplow should wait until tomorrow to know his result, to which he agrees. Frank asks Taplow about what remove he is interested to take further, and he replies science. Frank tells him that they have some lazy students in science, to which Taplow clarifies that he is interested in the subject. That is why he wanted or wants to take it. Frank tells him that he is not interested in science, which he has to teach in the school. Taplow thinks that the subject that Frank teaches is still a good deal than the book he is currently reading. Upon asking about the book, Taplow tells him about the name of the author and the book, Aeschylus, the name of the author, and Agamemnon, the name of the book. Taplow further shares his view about the Agamemnon. He thinks the plot is good, but the way those Greek words are taught to them combined together is useless. So here further there was a rule that the teachers should not reveal the remove or the promotion to the students until the last day of the term, and Crocker-Harris is following it very seriously, strictly, and Frank just telling that he won't follow it. He just informed it to the students and just asking what promotion or what subject he is interested or going to specialize after this. Then Taplow was expressing his interest, that science. He was very much interested in science, but Frank is not seeing that as a good one or positive one, because he was fed up with the students who came there without any interest about science, and he is finding it difficult to teach them. But Taplow is correcting that he was very interested, that's why he had chosen science. And finally, he was comparing the literature, the book he was studying with science, and what he was expressing that the Greek words taught with that book or the story was very difficult for them. On criticizing the book, Frank tells him that you are sounding a little bitter about Mr. Crocker-Harris. Further, Frank asks him if he is staying in school as a punishment, to which Taplow replies that he is in the school on the last day of the term due to extra work. He was ill last week, due to which he was absent for a day, for which he is compensating now by doing extra work. He further says that he feels that Mr. Harris also has extra work himself, because he is leaving tomorrow for good. Harris didn't have any extra work, and yet with such a good weather he has to come to school. He also adds that he wanted to play golf at that moment. Frank comforts him by saying that he will get his remove tomorrow due to the extra work he is doing for Mr. Harris. Taplow is unsure of this and tells him that this might work for other teachers, but Mr. Harris is different. He doesn't give a student a remove for doing extra work. Taplow also asked Mr. Harris about his remove, to which the master gave an astonishing answer. So here he was criticizing the book, so he was a little bit sound bitter or not liking it, studying it. Then their conversation moving to about the remove they are going to get. So why he was asked to come another day? So he just told him that he was asked to come another day because he took an absent or took a leave the previous week. So he has to do an extra work. Crocker-Harris has no work on that particular day, but because he asked Taplow to come, Crocker-Harris also coming there on that particular day. And Taplow was saying he was supposed to play golf by the time, and he was worried. He just missing a free day. And this Frank is trying to convince that no problem, because if he complete the extra work, he may get his remove. That a happy thing. But Taplow has a different opinion. He was saying that no, he may not get the remove. Harris is not a regular teacher or like other teachers. He may not give his remove easily. Frank asked him what Mr. Harris told him upon being asked about his remove. Taplow imitates Mr. Crocker-Harris and told him exactly what his master answered him. Mr. Harris told him that he will get what he deserves, nothing less and nothing more. Taplow feels that he might have marked him down for taking extra work because he doesn't have human feelings. Then he realizes that he has said too much, therefore he apologized to Frank. Frank asked him to repeat what he just said about Mr. Harris, and he starts imitating him again. Frank tells him that his imitation is not close to Mr. Harris' way of saying things, and he told him to read book. Frank asked him to at what time did Crocker-Harris asked him to come to school. Taplow told him 6:30. Frank suggests him to go and play golf for a little while as he would be 10 minutes late. Taplow refuses as he is afraid of what would happen if he shows up in the absence and he might follow him home. Frank tells him that he is a little jealous of Mr. Harris because of the effect he has on all the boys in the form. He asks him if Harris beats students, to which Taplow says that no, he is not someone who derives pain by hurting others. There are one or two other teachers like that. Frank asks him to be more specific, and he explains to him the meaning of sadist. Frank asks him what he was saying about other masters. So here we understood that the opinion of Master Crocker-Harris, he just told very clearly that the person who was doing, a student who was doing his work, Crocker-Harris will award the mark on the basis of the work, nothing more, nothing less. Here Taplow came another day, an extra day. So Taplow is not expecting that he will get more because he came another day. And Frank was asking that what time he just told him to come here, and he was saying the time. So some more time left out. Frank was asking to go and play golf, which he was replying. Taplow was replying that if Crocker-Harris came before Taplow, it will be a problem to him. He may follow Taplow to home and inform it to his parents. And Frank was got jealous of Mr. Crocker-Harris, because all the students in the form in that division are afraid of Crocker-Harris. And Crocker-Harris was not a sadist according to Taplow, but some other teachers. So Frank is just asking specifically whom he was talking about, and he was apologizing for using the word sadist. Taplow explains to him that there are many teachers in the school whose names he will not take, but they are sadist. They think that the boys don't understand a thing, but Frank is different from them, as he is young and he is from a science background and must know about sadism. Frank, in a surprising tone, exclaims about the condition of schools. Taplow goes on ranting about Mr. Harris. He shares that Mr. Crocker-Harris is not a sadist and yet he has no feelings. He is a type of person who might hate it when people like him. He further says that he doesn't know about any master there who doesn't like being liked. Frank mocks him and says that he hasn't seen any student using this quality for his own purpose. Taplow agrees and calls Mr. Harris Croc again, to which Frank corrects him by saying his full name. Taplow corrects himself and admits that he still likes him and he cannot help it. Sometimes Mr. Harris sees it and he wrinkles even more, to which Frank replied that he must be exaggerating. So here Taplow likes Crocker-Harris actually. He is not sadist like other teachers. Okay, according to Taplow, he is not like other teachers. He is not at all sadist. But one thing he was saying that if someone like him, if he come to know someone like him, he hate it. So a different sort of person was Crocker-Harris, and which that Frank was surprising it. The students may use it. Okay, such. Praising the teacher or doing or saying things the teacher likes and getting the sympathy. So he was thinking such a way, but Crocker-Harris was not such a person. And knowingly or unknowingly, Taplow is saying a lot of things about Crocker-Harris, and Frank was saying he was exaggerating. Taplow was exaggerating or saying something more than enough about this man, Crocker-Harris. The door upright is pushed open and Millie Crocker-Harris enters. She is a thin woman in her late 30s, rather more smartly dressed than the general run of schoolmasters' wives. She is wearing a cap and carries a shopping basket. She closes the door and then stands by the screen watching Taplow and Frank. It is a few seconds before they notice her. Taplow shares further that one day Mr. Crocker-Harris cracked one of his classic jokes, to which no one laughed. He understood that the joke was meant to be funny and laughed anyway because he wanted to be polite and to feel sorry for him making such poor jokes. He doesn't remember what the joke was and asked Frank to suppose he cracked a joke right away and asked him to laugh. He imitated his teacher again and told Frank what his reaction was when he laughed at his joke. Mr. Crocker-Harris asked him to explain the joke to the rest of the form or the division, the class, as he was the only one laughing in the class. So by the time they didn't know Millie Harris, the Crocker-Harris wife, she came there, but Frank and Taplow was not aware of that. She just nearby the doorway. And they are continuing their conversation. Particularly, they are talking about a particular incident happened. Taplow is explaining a particular incident happened, that Crocker-Harris cracked a joke in the class, but nobody understood and nobody laughed. So out of sympathy, this man Taplow just laughed. Okay, to be polite and sympathized, he laughed, and he's imitating it in front of Frank. So what exactly happened? Crocker-Harris asked Taplow to explain it to the class. Okay, as he is the only student understood the joke, he was asked to explain it. So he got into the trouble. Those things he was explaining to Frank, unaware of Mrs. Harris. Millie Harris was there nearby the doorway. Frank was also not aware of that. Millie closed the door as she entered and stood next to the screen, watching both of them talking. They noticed her after a few seconds as Frank was joking about telling the jokes to others. He saw Millie and stopped talking. He turned around and was relieved by seeing her there and wished her hello. She replied hello without any expressions on her face and put her basket on the sideboard. Taplow asked Frank in a desperate tone if she had heard any of their conversation. Frank thought that she did because she was standing there for quite some time. Millie took her cap off and hung it on hall stand. So while having the conversation, Millie entered the room, and they are not aware of that. When they saw Frank, immediately wished her hello, but there was no expression of happiness or anything. She just replied hello, that's all, and she kept the things she has brought in the basket and kept there, and she just removed the cap. And here Taplow was in a very desperate condition that she heard it. Okay, whatever he said, the jokes, everything, the imitation about her husband, everything, he was thinking that she heard everything. Taplow in a worrying tone says if she did hear them, then he will not get his remove, and Frank tells him not to think too much. Frank crosses the fireplace. Millie picks up the basket from the sideboard and puts it on the table. She asks Taplow if he is waiting for her husband, to which he replies yes. She tells him he is at the bazaar and it might take some time. If she was in his place, she might have left. Taplow replies that he said he will come. As Millie unpacks the things from the basket, she suggests him to go for a quarter of an hour and then come back to check on him. Taplow asks her if Mr. Harris comes back before him, then what will happen? Millie assured him that she will take the blame for this and takes out a prescription from the basket. She hands it over to him and asks him to bring medicines for her from the chemist. He agrees and crosses the door upright. So here, look at that. She is a kind woman. She came there. She understood the situation of Taplow, and she just told her husband will come after some time, so he can go and spend some time and come back. But Taplow is afraid, so she just told him that she can take the blame, and she has given a prescription of medicines to Taplow and ask him to go out. So if Harris came before, she can tell him that she sent him out to purchase the medicine. So the story ends like that. So this story tells us the normal situation in a school and the attitude of a student, attitude of a teacher towards another teacher, and how these students observe these teachers and have an idea in their mind. Hope you understood this explanation. Now read the text thoroughly. Don't forget to have a dictionary while reading. You will get more idea about the lesson. See you in the next class. Bye.